The morning of September 11th, we were just starting we call it a Rescue One course, and we actually did all of our in-house training from rope rescue to confined space to collapsed structure to shoring, anything in that nature. We trained. We were just starting a class, saw that a plane hit the building in New York City. When we found out that the plane hit the actual Pentagon, we alerted and got everything together and were prepared to move within an hour. And our mission was anything that would happen, we were to go in and to do search and rescue and hopefully rescue of whoever the occupant was, wherever they were.
It was the evening of the 11th when we got to the Pentagon. And I remember the Pentagon still being on fire. A lot of the local fire departments had responded, Arlington County, Alexandria, Fairfax, Fort Belvoir. The priority was putting the fire out. The plane hit fully loaded with fuel, so it took a little while to get that under control.
We found the incident commander, told him of our capabilities, let him know we were on the way, and waited on our unit to show up. While we were waiting on the rest of the unit, the main body, to show up, I took the first squad into the building to do a initial search and rescue. This was ended up after everybody that was going to come out was able to come out of the building.
Sergeant Brown's mother-in-law worked at the Pentagon in the area where it had been hit. And his kids, I remember him talking to his kids and them trying to find Grandma. And then at the same time, Fort Belvoir's Sergeant Major Strickland, her husband, worked in that area also. And I remember her walking through looking for her husband and her asking for help, for us to help find her husband. And those are the things that really stick with me on the first night.
Well, training kicks in. I didn't think of anything except for making sure that my guys were suited up correctly. We wore a supplied air apparatus, and we went in and did the search. I knew that my mother-in-law was in the building somewhere, but I didn't know exactly where she was in relationship to the plane, where the plane went in. Just going through the motions, a lot of shock because we're not used to seeing, a 1.5 feet of water with fuel burning on top of it, and what we saw inside there. So just a lot of stuff going through my mind that I can't recall now, but a lot of it was just training kicks in, and you're not a robot, but you just let it work and make things happen.
When we got there, everybody wanted to go to work. Nobody wanted to go to sleep, myself included. I think most of us was up for the first 2 or 3 days, point blank, because that's when, if you was to find somebody, that's when they're going to be alive. And it was all in. Nobody wanted to go anywhere. Most of us slept there either on our Humvees or in our trucks or on the ground.
Well, what we were feeling was a lot of disappointment. As you can imagine, you train really hard, and in most of our scenarios that we developed for training, we brought live people out, and the realization that we probably were not going to find anybody alive was a little bit stressful on us because that's what we wanted to do. And as we were finding more and more bodies, it was getting a little bit harder to excuse me. It was getting a little bit harder to keep everybody motivated. But at the end of the day, search and recovery. So we switched into recovery mode only, and we just dealt with it. It's difficult knowing what your job is and what you want to do, and it doesn't happen. But at the end of the day, we have another job to do, so we just dealt with it and kept everybody motivated as much as possible. The unit did great. We stayed there for 10 days working 24-hour shifts, 12 on, 12 off. But just the way that the men and women of this unit, of everyone that was there, performed was my biggest takeaway.
We had a mission to do, we had a job to do, and we went forward and we executed that job. I was on terminal leave. I couldn't imagine not being there. I had the training, I had the knowledge. 20 years ago, I would have done the exact same thing that I did on that day. I'd have went straight back. Nobody needed to tell me to go back.
This is an engineer company that was standalone in all of the Army. And after this, there's people knocking down the door trying to get into this unit. And over the 20 years since 9/11, the unit has grown leaps and bounds. They've acquired equipment that we only dreamed of. Their different training that they're using, it's amazing to see how far they've come. And that's a direct reflection of what we did and how we performed. The biggest thing that I'm proud of is all of our training paid off. That the soldiers that went in there performed their duty, they did it well, they did it without any major injury, and they all came back safe to their family. That's the biggest thing that I'm proud of.